It's the Butch and Sundance Show.
All right. So it all started a couple of weeks ago with Obama on a podcast, which was kind of strange in itself, right? He doesn't do a lot of podcast appearance, but he went on this podcast, and the podcast host asked him if aliens were real.
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51.
But there it is, right? He just admitted that aliens are real. And this is a former sitting president of the United States, president being one of the most powerful positions in the world. And people are hanging on everything you say, every word at every moment. And you don't say anything that's not deliberate. And he deliberately admitted that aliens are real. At least that's what he wants you to think. Whether or not there's another agenda there, that's what he said.
Yeah. And I think one of the strange things about this appearance, in conjunction with what he said, was the fact that it's it's not a popular podcast. I don't think we know the host. We don't even know the name of it's a very esoteric podcast for him to appear on. So it's like, well,
looks fabricated, which makes it look fabricated. It's not like he went on
almost
Joe Rogan, where Joe Rogan is going to say,
right.
He's going to grill him and say, well, what do you mean they're real? What do you know? This kid was just like asking the question. And then Obama did his best to try and make it look like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. Well, they're real, but I haven't seen them. Like, no, So then there's that. And then then they asked Trump about it. And what did Trump say? Trump said, Obama revealed classified information. So that strengthens the case that what Obama said was so important that it should have been classified or was classified.
And then Trump, by saying he admitted classified information, indirectly admitted that what Obama said was true.
100%. 100%.
So
now you have our leaders, right? What does that mean? You have former president, very popular president, still very popular with the Democratic Party. People believe he was the power behind the throne when another Democrat was in office. We're not going to get into that. Two very powerful people that want the public to know that, quote unquote, what we know about aliens are real.
Yeah. Well, Trump said there's going to be disclosure after that, right? He's going to. I think it was a tweet he put out that they're going to have full disclosure, given the, it was almost like Obama had like the opening, and then Trump says, okay, now I'm stepping in now, You opened for me. Now I'm going to step in with the main event here, which is
a little fabricated. Let's take a look at that.
Have you seen the new domain name that the government just registered for a website? Alien.gov. No, it's raising questions. Remember, just last month, the president said he's ordering the Pentagon to release a bunch of files related to UFOs and aliens.
So you got Obama, you got Trump coming on saying that the classified information, and then you got a registration of a website by the government.
You remember back in the day, like people were running to register their own name as a domain so nobody else could. Like, remember that? Like people were doing like MichaelJackson.com,
right?
Trying to snatch it up and then sell it back to Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
Kind of funny. Like Trump
likes
to be first.
They still do that stuff. I think Elon or some people bought, I guess, the X domain. Somebody bought it when they found out he was doing it, or something happened like that, where people do that all the time.
That's what that reminds me of now. Like, Trump's jumping in on that. It's like, all right, let me get Alien. Let me get Alien.gov, greatest website ever.
Well, why do you think it was Alien.gov and not UFO or UAP?
Some might ask you, why isn't it Demon.gov, right? That's another rabbit hole.
Oh, maybe.
Right? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So that's a good question. That's a good question. So then you have the White House getting ready to start shoving these files up internet.
That's right.
Okay? At the same time.
Hey, where's Epstein.gov? They didn't get that one, did they?
That one, they didn't really want to advertise that much.
Yeah, they didn't want the marketing on that one, did they?
They kind of slipped that one in.
EpsteinIsland.gov.
Yeah,
that never happened.
A lot of pork belly in that one, slipping it in, after midnight, and people woke up and was like, what is this? Right? That wasn't advertised. But in any case, so now you got the White House ready to pull the trigger there. At around the same time, another trailer drops for Disclosure Day, and Disclosure Day is riddled with hidden messages, and the timing couldn't be perfect. Let's take a look at Spielberg's new movie.
What did you steal?
Secrets. The data they paid me to protect.
This is interesting, Butch. What did he just say?
Secrets.
The secrets, the data they paid me to protect. What does that remind you of? Who does that remind you?
So, I mean, I think, look, first comes to mind, Bob Lazar.
There you go.
Right?
Who was Bob Lazar?
Bob Lazar is the original whistleblower, for those that don't know.
Worked at S4. He was a genius. He put a jet engine on the back of his car. Somebody did a story. He was recruited by Edward Teller, who got him a job at S4. And he worked there for about 6 months and claims that he worked on a project to back engineer extraterrestrial technology. He came out, I would say, in the late 80s. We've been we and a lot of other people have been following Bob's story ever since then.
A lot of stuff that he talked about back then has been
coming to light,
corroborated or verified today. Yeah. A lot of
we'll get into that.
technology,
Element 115 was discovered. We'll get into that. Let's see what else the trailer tells us, what they're trying to tell us or trying not to tell us.
Are they people?
Are they peoples? Bob Lazar, when he was prepped for his job to back engineer these crafts, he read a dossier, very long dossier, about the origin of these craft and the supposed story of those who built them, and they were not human. Crop circles are an interesting phenomenon. Crop circles have been going on since the 70s. They've been on a bunch of album covers. Some of them have been explained as hoax. Some of them haven't been explained. They're too intricate, too mathematical for a layman to be able to even come up with that kind of calculation or that equation, let alone put it in a field with perfect precision. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. And
it's been like a mysterious phenomenon for a long time. Can't have a UFO movie without a crop circle.
Today's.
So,
what does that sound remind you of? What movie is that?
That sound reminds me of the African languages, number one.
They talk like that?
Yeah, they talk in clicks. Yeah, in
Africa. Well, the click thing was done in M. Night Shyamalan movies. Signs.
Yes. Yeah. But, and I think,
interesting that they're choosing clicks.
The clicks, yeah.
Also interesting that we froze on a shot of, looks like nuns and
here's
people praying.
Yeah, and this is where Spielberg's expanding the universe of what he wants to tell people. So little things that happen in small towns, if there's something to it, the world will see that within minutes.
Right.
And that's what he's kind of portraying here is this is on the local news or a regional news, but then everybody's seeing it. Everybody on the phone, everybody's seeing it. Look, nuns.
Right? So he turns his wrist. Whatever does. So whatever he does, she does. So it's almost like he's controlling her in the same manner, potentially, that these aliens are controlling these animals, right? These animals are a big part of this movie. If you look at the trailer, right, you have, what is that, Emily Blunt that plays the lead?
Yes.
Emily Blunt on the movie poster. And there's an outline of a bird. And you'll see in the first trailer and the second trailer, animals play a big role in this disclosure message, whatever the hell this is. So it's interesting how the animals could be controlled by the aliens, but the humans are controlling other humans, potentially.
What is this, an elk? What is that right there?
A moose.
Is it a moose?
Looks like a moose to me.
I think you're right.
Imagine a moose shows up in your room. You got problems.
This guy here that
looks like a friendly moose. Look, you see the bird? I just noticed that. You see the red bird on his moose antlers?
Yeah.
See what I mean? That's
cardinal. Yeah,
cardinal, right?
So
that's the theme here.
And this guy's remote viewing because he's not in the same room as her, but it looks like they're in the same room. So he's communicating with her from a undisclosed location.
Right. And remote viewing is a huge thing with the government. There's a huge project a long time ago. And it bared a lot of fruit for a while until they allegedly did away with it. But we know they didn't do away with it. We know they just stopped. They just stopped promoting it to the public, right? But
that's still
there's
going
on. It's still going on. Even Chris
on.
Bledsoe, if you believe his story, said that when we'll get into Bledsoe. We'll get into Bledsoe, but he did say that the government leaders that he was dealing with, these two UFO commanders, Air Force commanders, he gave them a date, whether something was supposed to happen in April that we mentioned at the beginning of the show. That date was viewed by the government. We'll talk about that.
This 79-year terror campaign of lies has to end.
What are you gonna do?
Full disclosure.
So it looks like Spielberg is choosing Roswell, which there's been a lot of UFO sightings over the years. And it looks like he's drilling down on this, probably the most famous one. You know,
Roswell,
in Area 51, by the way,
well,
which Obama said they're not there, but that's where Bob Lazar worked at Area 51. That's where Obama's saying the aliens are not there anymore. Probably they moved them. And that's where it looks like where this is taking place.
yes. And also the missing general, where did he spend the majority of his career, where they took the Roswell crash and whatever was involved in that crash?
Why don't you tell us, Butch?
To his base, where he was stationed, where he worked for many years under the most classified information the government has.
And
so
still
there's a tie-in here with Spielberg's movie, with Bob Lazar, and then with the missing general that you can't deny.
Undeniable.
There's no undoing it.
Essentially, this is a whistleblower story. This is the Bob Lazar story. If you do it, there's no undoing it. If you disclose it, there's no undisclosing it, right? There's no taking it back, right? And that is what ultimately Bob Lazar did, right? He worked there, and then he became, he says he feared for his life. If that was the reason, no reason to think it wasn't, but he feared for his life, and he came forward, and in this, almost in the same manner as we'll see, as the disclosure is happening on TV in a TV station. It's the same manner that happened with George Knapp and Bob Lazar when they did their interview.
I can't help but see the parallels here. I mean, this guy, this character is clearly based on Bob Lazar in
100%.
a modern take on it.
Don't you let go.
Bob is on the record for saying that, like we saw here in this clip, that they tried to take him out, essentially. That people who didn't want his story to come
shot
out.
At him. Yes.
Yeah.
So he says they shot
and that's
at
what,
him,
kind of here you see that scene with the train. They're pushing him up, pushing the car, trying to, get hit.
It looks like it's going to be a great movie. And Spielberg certainly is a master filmmaker. He's been making movies since he was a kid, literally a kid on a Super 8. And I'm glad we still have him. It's something to look forward to, a movie you can take the family to, and either enjoy it as just entertainment or see more into it, which obviously we're going to do, because that's what we do. We look for things. We look for the truth. So now you have, in addition to Mr. Spielberg's new trailer that dropped, we have S4, the Bob Lazar story, scheduled to come out in 2026, I believe, on Amazon. Apparently they pumped in a lot of money into this. The producers are really going to town and let everybody know that it's the most authentic version of Bob's story, that they worked on every imaginable detail. We exchanged a few emails with Bob, and he did tell us that, detail to the truth of his experience is really, really important to him. And then, according to Bob, that's exactly what they did in this documentary.
Out that's the project that I was part of. And
let me ask you something. These are AI driven characters, right?
Yeah, they put a lot of money into the AI piece.
So that's
of this.
an AI version of Bob Lazar we just saw?
It is.
So isn't that exactly what we've been saying? I mean, not just us, right? But it is over time, as AI gets smarter and it teaches itself to do this, which eventually it will and do more, you'll be able to put in a prompt and create whatever movie you want for pennies. Movies used to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Eventually, you'll get it to a point where you'll just be able to make any movie you want. Clearly, that's what they did here. The only difference is it's not for a few pennies. They dropped a lot of money on this movie. Some parallels there to the two movies. What this didn't show you is Bob Lazar allegedly, and this came out in the Jeremy Corbell documentary, Bob Lazar allegedly stole. This is alleged, right? He's never admitted this. I'm not saying he did it, but the lore, he was accused of stealing sensitive material from S4 where he worked, which would have been like a chunk of element 115, which he says powers these crafts. And then on the Jeremy Corbell documentary, I think the FBI kind of stormed where the house, and it was this whole big thing, and they were looking for this material, which he also owns a legitimate business, United Nuclear, where they sell science kits,
Chemicals,
and chemicals, and elements,
concoctions, and
a bunch
elements.
of shit most people don't even know what is.
Yeah.
But there's elements, right? Because if you look at the beginning of the trailer of Disclosure Day, it looks like, he was taking knowledge, but maybe something physical back as well. Maybe it's just in the form of secrets.
Yeah. Because
right?
Bob was paid, right? He was classified. He had what is it? Majestic clearance?
Majestic clearance. I mean, that's like almost not the top, but that's pretty up there. We've been following Bob's story since the early 90s, mid 90s. That's how far back this goes, where there was like underground websites. It's interesting to see it now, the story being told with this new AI technology. But one thing I will say is the story 100% has not changed. It hasn't embellished in any way. It's the same exact story.
Yeah.
All those points that you saw, the hanger coming out of the mountain,
It's
touching
exactly
the
how
UFO, the sport model, it's in his book. It's all nothing.
Right. The
deviated.
3-seat.
The 3 seats,
ship.
the little baby seats.
Yeah.
The
triangle cut of
reactor,
the
hand scanner to get in the building that he
Yeah.
mentioned on Rogan. It's all the same stuff. So now you got Disclosure Day, you got Bob Lazar's documentary, which was years in the making, coming out. Dr. Greer, whether you believe him or not, he's been in the UFO disclosure business forever, right? Since time immemorial. He has been promising to release all the files that he has on the topic. Okay, let's hear what he has to say.
Anything you've seen in Star Trek, we have. And it's not at Area 51. It's out in the desert here.
I mean, this is like, so basically what he's saying is that there's people that are in those files that if it comes out, they're going to be like, you knew about this all these years.
Right.
No one said anything. Like, how do you not,
Yep.
A lot of people are going to be upset
They're
at
gonna
a
get-
lot of
they're
people
gonna
that
get
knew
burned.
about this.
You have to provide some immunity to the people, right or wrong, who were involved in these situations. Otherwise, you're never really going to get the truth. I'd be surprised if you get the full truth anyway. Then the question is, well, why did you wait so long to release this to the public?
That's a good point, Sundance. The question is,
I'm
they're
full
going
of
to
'em.
be disclosing something, but what truth are they going to be disclosing? Are they going to be disclosing a truth of, because there's some people that believe that these aren't aliens, that they're demons. But is the government going to
There are people
say
in the
that?
government that believe that they are demons.
Right.
Through Lou Elizondo, who had
Okay.
connections to high-ranking officials who said that we're dealing with something supernatural. I have no idea, right? Most people don't, but that's part of it too. And then you have you have Chris Bledsoe in
Chris
this
Bledsoe.
prophecy,
Right.
star of Regulus, right? Matthew McConaughey's father, allegedly, right?
His adoptive father. Yeah. Yeah.
If you haven't seen this, and we did an episode on this, but if you haven't seen this, check out what Bledsoe say. Now, like,
Right.
people don't like to make the connection between aliens and what Chris Bledsoe is saying or has said. I don't think that's fair to do. I think people want to turn it into like more of a religious experience, and I think you got to be careful with that because an orb sighting is an orb sighting, and historically people have seen orbs and they've associated those orbs with UFOs. And here Chris Bledsoe is actually, let's hear what he has to say about it.
Made that. She said that the star of Regulus, the gaze of the Sphinx, that moment would mark a change in humanity's knowledge.
She told me.
Wait, I swear that is slowed down, right?
He's in no rush.
He's got that
and
drawl,
not everybody's
man.
from New York. He's kind of got that peaceful. Hey, she told me when the star of Regulus. Like it's great. I mean, I think that's why he's got a lot of followers. And the
Yeah, he's
fact
very-
that he sounds
very-
like Matthew McConaughey.
He's very earnest in his delivery.
He's very earnest in his delivery. So what is he saying? He's saying some woman in an orb took him up, showed him we're gonna bomb Iran, told him that the star of Regulus is gonna, once it pops up over the Sphinx, a new knowledge is going to appear to humanity. Well, I think they're saying April 26th that's astronomically possible.
Yeah.
Around Easter time.
Around Easter time, yeah. That was his prediction over a
couple of years
he said
ago.
that
He's
a
been
year
around
ago.
a while. Yeah,
right?
He's been around a while, even a little longer than that. He's been around a long time. He's been on the scene. I don't know, man. There's been so many. I mean, you live long enough. There's so many prophecies. There's so many of these guys that come up and they all sound amazing. And I think on some level, people want to believe that this is going to happen. People don't want to go to work. They're tired of the routine. They're tired of just getting by. They're tired of being lied to. They're tired of the rich getting rich and the poor getting poorer. They're sick of it. They want something to happen, and they want it to happen. Maybe they don't want to get eaten like the Twilight Zone had to serve man, but they want something to happen. They're craving something else than the mundaneness of life.
Yeah, and I think if something does happen, or the idea of something happening unites us as human beings, right? Like that.
Yeah.
I think deep down too, there's the point you made about people just don't want to go to work, and there's something exciting about something happening that's beyond your day-to-day life. But also in a deeper, maybe it's an unconscious thing, but these people, it would unite us, and I think
that's
we'll
what
go back
Reagan
now.
said.
Exactly.
Remember that speech?
I wanted you to talk about that. Yeah.
Some outside alien threat and what that would mean for us, and we would come together as one world. That would be an amazing thing to see. That would be a shitty war to fight, but that would be an amazing thing to see.
And there's and Reagan said that back in like the early 80s.
Yeah.
And again, who was around when Reagan was? What's the famous dinner that they had, or screening at the White House?
That's a good point. They screened E.T. Spielberg screened E.T. at the White House, and afterwards Reagan got up and said, in Reagan fashion, I think most of us in this room know that what we just saw was exactly the truth. And everybody laughed nervously, but he was dead serious. So he knew, and he saw a UFO outside of his plane once. He talked about it, not to us.
Wait, outside of the plane, like Shatner in the Twilight Zone?
Yeah, a little guy running around, probably. So he had an experience. Carter had an experience. Trump doesn't believe in UFOs. He doesn't want anything to do with it. Obama never had any interest. They asked him, is there life on other planets? He's like, I don't know, but I know there's life here. It's a good point. So
yeah,
it's a good point. And then the question is, why didn't they tell you all this time? Is knowledge power?
Well, what
else are they not telling you?
What about the possibility, and this has been talked about various people, especially now with AI and all this hologram technology, staging an attack?
So that's a great point, right? Because we go back to what we said originally with our point about it's so odd and strange that Obama Mama and Trump-Alinsky are getting together on this point and are like feeding you something. Oh, you want aliens? Here, a little spoonful. Here's a little spoonful. Here's a little more, right? They're feeding you something, which is suspect in itself. What if there was a governmental group that had this technology, found the technology, created the technology, created these beings? Now we know we can clone. They've cloned people. Everybody knows that. They've cloned sheep. They'll admit that publicly. They're cloning people. What if they clone these things 50, 60, 100 years ago? And that's what you're seeing. You're seeing something created by the government. What if it's all governmental technology, governmentally created aliens? And what you're seeing today with all this disclosure is just a smokescreen to make you believe that it's extraterrestrial or dimensional. But what if it was all created by the government to maybe to be used as a weapon, be able to pop into countries and pop out and just abduct leaders or whatever, right?
Well,
that's the greatest cover.
On that point, like you said earlier, when we opened, these drones that are appearing first appeared back many months ago over Jersey. Now they're appearing, I think over DC.
Over DC, over the Capitol, over Rubio's house, where Rubio lives.
So Ross Coulthart just said that he's got information from a high-ranking government or some insider saying that the Chinese. Well, we kind of knew this, but the New Jersey drones and these new drones were Chinese. That the Chinese cracked the anti-gravity piece that Bob Lazar talked about in the 80s that he worked on. The Chinese obtained that technology or reverse engineered it, whatever it was, and they were the ones responsible for the drones. And then we, as a response to that, put our own drones up.
Right.
But the government was taken by surprise that we didn't know the Chinese had that. Apparently, we thought we were the only ones that had that technology.
Right. And that's the thing. And what can you do with this technology? You got this missing general, right?
The missing general.
McCaslin.
Right.
He's missing. Strange circumstances there. We did an episode about that. Take a look at it. Very, very strange circumstance. I mean, the guy just vanished. And up until today, He hasn't been found. So what's that about?
Tie that back into where he worked, what he was involved in. Like we said earlier, Disclosure Day movie, basis Roswell. They're using that as a key piece in that movie. General McCaslin was a part of the lead general at that base that housed the Roswell crash and potentially alien remains.
Yep, 100%. The mainstream media broke the drone story. Let's take a look at that.
Top officials like Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth live. Are they, in fact, a threat?
Of course not.
You're asking this guy?
He ain't going to tell you. He just pulled him out of class. He was in school.
And drones like this have
You might as well just call 911.
Might as well ask us.
He's basically saying, we don't know.
You know, you had all these soldiers that formed, it was like 100, 200 soldiers sent a complaint in that their commanders were telling them that Donald Trump was ordained by God to usher in the end times and that this is a holy war. So, I mean, my friend.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Come on. Obama, Trump disclosure footage on UFOs. You got the White House putting up this online repository before anybody else. You got the Spielberg movie. You got the Lazar movie. You got Stephen Greer getting a piece of the action. You got the star of Regulus in April.
Yeah.
You got the missing general. You got this alleged Iran holy war ushering in the end times. You got the meteors flying to and from, drones over D.C., dogs and cats living together. It's mass hysteria.
I think all you need now is to stage an alien invasion, and it'll be complete.
And just remember, if the aliens do show up, remember this.
The visitors are not our friends. They've come to rape our planet and kill us. They are not who they appear to be.
It's the Butch and Sundance Show.